I think I can speak for every coach in this room when I get ready to present this next gentleman, because you know what? We all have a chance at times to coach people who have talent but no heart, and you get very angry with them.
This is me.
And then you coach people with heart, giant heart, but not enough talent, and your heart goes out to them, and then you get that rarefied individual who can combine both. The next individual is that type of individual. I was fortunate enough to be able to coach him in track and field in 1982 and 1983 when he compiled 4 second-place finishes in the state track meet. And the reality is those 4 were the 1600 and the 3200 one year, and again the 1600 and 3200 the following year. The reality is this: he could have had a state championship in either of those 2 years if I'd have just been smart enough to let him run in one event.
I got tired.
That's exactly right. We wore the poor guy down. All right. The thing about John, as you may be realizing, you get a special individual when you're working with John. And when I came home from those 2 trips to Charleston, Illinois, I had a greater appreciation for the Who, and still to this day know all the words to Magic Bus. Here to present John King, Tom Anstead.
It's not often you get to introduce a state champion. Frank Frigo far earlier, spoke about John as a freshman coming out for cross country. John showed up in baseball spikes at East End Park, started running the workout. The workout got into about an hour of speed training and distance, and leaned over against one of the tree and threw up. Took a minute, asked him if he was okay. Fine, coach. Finished the workout. And I said to a couple of the runners, I said, I think this young man's got something pretty unique. I described John in an article that was down in our area newspaper as one of the gutsiest athletes I've ever coached, and I really mean that. He would eat up the competition from the 1.5 mile mark to about the 2.5 mile mark. He would disappear in the woods in a pack, come out with about a 200 yard lead consistently. Then he'd hang on for dear life because he had very little kick, and that showed in his junior year when he won state. And Jacobson from Cornell was bearing down on him. I was having a slight heart attack at the time. And can John hang on in that last stretch up the hill in Peoria, in which he did. John finished second as a senior. He went on to run collegiately. He's just an outstanding athlete because the nature of cross country dictates a real resilience, as you know. And I think John owes Jim Pascal a good debt too, because Jimmy supplied motivation for John. Jim would be able to run with John and set the tone for him. And I think Jim helped John's improvement considerably. But make no mistake, John was an all-state runner. He was all-conference. He was a terrific captain and an outstanding addition to our Hall of Fame, to the FC Hall of Fame. John, congratulations.
Woo! Wow. IC Hall of Fame. Here's my 2-minute speech, guys. I rewrote the whole thing on a cocktail napkin. All right, from what I've heard tonight, I'm the youngest of 9. Everybody's got a great family. But my family went to York. And for all of you that know the distance running cross-country tradition in this town of Elmhurst, you go to York. The youngest of 9. I went to IC. Now, IC's got a great tradition. I had a couple of great coaches. Coach Anstead, Coach Arthur's. I mean, we didn't see eye to eye in a lot of things. If they can remember back that far, I wasn't one of the best model athletes, as you would say, but you know what? I had respect for them. I had a lot of respect for them. Coach Anstead, he had just started out in cross country, and Coach Arthur's in track. I can tell you a couple of instances, but I'm going to try and keep it real short because we're getting late. IC Hall of Fame, unbelievable. I mean, I graduated in '83, I got a scholarship to Fresno State in California, and I kind of disappeared for almost 11 years till I moved back home. And when I got this email about a month ago, it was pretty good. It made me feel good about myself. And once I got here, I felt a lot better. You know, seeing people I haven't seen for years. With moving to California, I stayed out there. I didn't come home. I came home my freshman year for Thanksgiving. I came home for Christmas, and I didn't come back home again. I came home for a few weddings, but I wasn't one of these come home for Christmas break or anything else. California is pretty expensive to fly home for Christmas, fly home for Thanksgiving. But tonight, come in, and upstairs, I felt like $1 million getting that little blue thing. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But you know what even felt better? I came downstairs, brought my mother down early before the crowd got down, brought my wife. Somebody walks up to me. Never met her before in my life. Nicole Hill. Nicole was a cross-country runner after I graduated. I have no idea. Never met the girl before in my life. She came up to me and said, "You're John King, right?" For her to say, "You're John King." Oh, boy, did that feel good. And then she talked about who she was and what she did, and she was a runner and stuff like that, and how I felt. I felt great, but she knew who I was because I went to IC. Well, let me turn the napkin a little bit. All right. Frank Frigo's here. Frank Frigo told that story about the first day of track practice, cross country. Yes, I did throw up, and yes, I did wear those ridiculous baseball spikes to practice. But the main thing is when I got this letter, an email, and I was so impressed about it, the first thing that came out was the very first day of practice. Frank talked about it, Coach Anstead talked about it. But let me tell you the real story about it. I came home from practice that day. Yes, I did wear baseball spikes, and yes, I did toss my cookies farther than anybody's ever tossed them that day. I came home from practice. Mom and Dad were going out for dinner. I could barely walk. I was not a runner until that day. I wanted to be on a fall sport. Cross country was all that was left, and I did it. I came home. My father looked at me and goes, "How do you feel?" I go, "It hurts so bad. I don't want to go back." He goes, "Quit. Just quit. If you don't want to do it, quit." The look of my father's face that day. And he said, "You won't quit because you're not a quitter." And I didn't. And you know what? Every time I ran, every time I won, the look on my father's face and my mother's face was right there. It was unbelievable. Whether I won the race or lost the race, they were there for me. And you know what? That's what it's all about. You all had family. I was the only one at IC. The look on my mother and father's face every time I ran, whether I won or lost, was unbelievable. This little plaque over here, that's mine till Monday. It sure is Monday morning, Mom. I love you.